So Toyota has just unveiled their brand new Toyota Corolla concept at the Japanese Mobility Show. So it's an indication of what's to come for the Corolla brand, and it's definitely an extremely futuristic and interesting designed vehicle. So in this video, we're going to have a look at some of the key design details, some of the powertrain options that might be coming to the Corolla brand in the future, and whether this is actually something that could be heading to production anytime soon. So we'll kick off with some of the key details first. It's designed to be a preview of the future design direction of the Corolla and also perhaps Toyota as a whole. The powertrain itself could be a multi-powertrain vehicle where there's multiple powertrains on the same platform. So think hybrid and combustion engine, so hybrid electric vehicle, think pure electric, think plug-in hybrid as well. It's got an extremely aerodynamic design, quite a low hood, extended windshield, and push forward dashboard as well. So improved visibility and space. And it's got some unique features inside too. Crystal gear shifter, headrest speakers, laminated acoustic glass, very Lexus-like features. So probably not going to be something that we'll see in production anytime soon, but at least for a concept, it shows what could be possible if they were to take the Corolla a little bit upscale. But I think what we're seeing here is maybe a push towards more of an emotional type design. So similar to the transition the Prius has had in its current generation, where it's gone from a hybrid, environmentally friendly vehicle, but transition more to something that's a little bit more desirable. Where the Corolla as well, for a long time, has been an A to B car, but even the last generation or the current generation, we've seen it move towards more of a sporty, desirable design. And I think this Corolla concept just hints at what could be coming in the next generation as well. We'll have a look at the exterior design and some of the interior features, and we'll speculate whether this could be something that could be heading to showrooms anytime soon. So we'll look at the front here. This echoes some of the existing designs we're seeing from Toyota in the last 2 to 3 years with that hammerhead front end, but evolves it to the next level. Starting off with the headlights here, instead of that circular hammerhead look that we've had previously, it's more of an angled, even a Lexus type look. So it even looks like an inverted L if you look a little bit closely here. And then you've got that extended DRL that travels from the left to the right headlamp here. And then you've got the segmented pixel-like LED motif here, similar to some of the Hyundai. Here, it's a little bit of a sharper look compared to the current hammerhead front end. And I like it. I think it's a good evolutionary design. I hope to see this hit the production vehicle as well. It gives it a little bit more of an aggressive stance. I think the hammerhead look was looking a little bit samey across many different models, such as the Crown, the new RAV4, the Camry, the CHR. So it was getting a little bit overdone. So it's good to see it evolve a little bit here. And then you've got the main beam headlamps, I believe, stacked down here. And I really like the way they've integrated this. So you've got these different segmentations here of LEDs. So similar to some of the Audi models we've seen, such as the e-tron GT. So yeah, I really like the way they've actually integrated the main beams here. Normally you see with the split headlamp design, the main beams are a little bit just shoehorned in and they don't seem as well designed as the LED signature. But I think here it feels like it's a nice extended version of the LEDs. Even reminds me a little bit of the Cadillac designs in the last few years. And then here you got a pretty simple lower air dam as well. They haven't gone to town too much here. It might be something that opens and shuts looking at the design here. So active aero, potentially probably not going to be in a Corolla in the production version, but for a concept. So it looks nice. And you've got a couple of events here as well. So probably not a lot of this is going to make production, but I expect the overall theme of a sharpened hammerhead look to be hitting production sometime soon. The side profile, I think, is probably the most interesting part of the car. So this is a better view here. Moving into the front, the A pillar here, you've got a real slanted look, which I haven't seen on any car previously. And I don't think this looks that great, and I'm not entirely sure why they've gone down this route. Maybe it adds a little bit more in terms of visibility, which they've tried to add as well with the extended windscreens. Let's see if this even makes production. But it's an interesting design. Normally you see this kind of slant happening between the B and the C pillars, but yeah, it's something different from Toyota. And here you've got a brand new exterior display. I think here it's being used for a battery indicator, but basically provides another way to interact with the vehicle and understand what's happening with the vehicle without having to go inside or interact with an app or anything like that. Then you've got these exterior door handles here, which are quite new for Toyota. You're seeing a lot more of these brands move towards that aerodynamic, flat, flush with the door handles. This looks quite similar to some of the BMW door handles we've seen with the likes of the BMW i4 and even the 2 Series as well. Even looks a little bit like the door handles we used to see in the 90s and the 80s, where you just pull up and open the door, but a little bit more of a modern fashion. And I love this carved upswing, which is very Lexus. I'd love to see this hit production. It adds a little bit more character to the car as well. You got a blacked out roof, two-tone roof. So that's similar to the Toyota Corolla. Even the Camry has that as well. And these wheels are interesting. Definitely probably not going to be production ready, but they have a quite intricate design to them too. And here you got this front flap, which definitely looks like a charging flap. So this could be an EV or a plug-in hybrid. I expect at least there to be a plug-in hybrid option when this hits production, but who knows? There could be an EV too. Cool. This gives you a better indication of the full side profile. We're trying to make this as aerodynamic as possible and really achieve a strong CD. So if this is going to be an EV and not just a hybrid, then aerodynamics is a priority for sure. Let's dive a bit deeper into the rear end here. I love this full length tail lamp, which is a bit different to the other full length tail lamp you're seeing. So it starts a bit narrower and then goes down into this trapezoidal shape and then just straight through here. So it's not just a lazy integration. They've really tried to design it. But the pixel signature here is quite similar to some of the Ioniq models. I think in terms of the way it's integrated, it's quite a wide looking rear end as well. I think definitely the way they've designed the tail lamps hints at that, but even some of the hips here look to be a little bit wider. They've done a good job here with blacking out the roof. That seems to create this illusion of this jutting out outwards a little bit more. But definitely a very aggressive and interesting looking design. And if you were to ask me what's going to hit production, I think the overall shape of the headlamps and perhaps the tail lamps will be. I don't think we'll see the shape of the car be too coupe-esque. We'll probably see a two-tone roof and body design too. Perhaps the door handles will be similar, but definitely don't think the wheels will be heading to production anytime soon. And I'm not sure if too much else will be heading to production, but some interesting ideas here, keeping the Corolla fresh and interesting into its next generation, and I'm excited to see what comes of it. So let's have a look at some of the cars that it could have drawn inspiration from, and as well as compare it to the previous generations. This one is a personal favorite of mine. This is from the early 2000s. It's actually an Australian concept, the Toyota Sportiva concept, and I do see a lot of this in the new car, whether it's intentional or not. Particularly in the general stance of this car, I think this eventually had some influence on the Orion Sportiva, but I just love the simplicity of the design, some of the transparent elements, which you are seeing more and more with some of the LED light signatures and the main beam here. Even the color is quite similar. That coupe-esque shape. This is a coupe. I think this, for something that came out in the early 2000s, I think it was something like 2004. This was way ahead of its time and still looks relatively fresh today. So I definitely see some similarities there and evokes some of the similar emotions too. And then you've got the Toyota BZ7, which is a Chinese market only car. And I actually think this is probably the best looking Toyota out there at the moment. Unfortunately, it's not available for Western markets, but we are seeing more and more of these Chinese specific models. But I think this design could definitely be exported to Western markets too. And I do think there's some similarities here, especially with the color. You can see the door handles, very similar to the new Corolla concept, that coupe roofline. I would like to see the Corolla evolve more in this direction than the concept, but still take some of the elements like the new sharpened front end and full length light bar, which is a little bit more modern and more of a contemporary take on what's been done previously. Now, compared to the previous generations, starting off with the current generation here, I remember when this was revealed, this also was a big step up for the Corolla and quite dynamic in the way it was designed. So you can even see here some of the hammerhead front end design that we're seeing now in the current generation of Toyotas has been derived from here as well. This keen look design motif was far more aggressive than any Corolla we've seen previously. I think the sedan probably wasn't the most sporty looking of the three body styles, if you count the wagon, which was available in some markets. But the hatchback as well was quite a dynamic looking car. And for a Corolla, even though it compromised a little bit on practicality, I think some of that sportiness was much needed to bring back some emotion to the Corolla brand, which hasn't been there in maybe 20, 30 years. It's really been Akira Toyota pushing a little bit more emotion in these car designs and in terms of performance as well with the GR models. But just to see how far the Corollas come, this is from a couple of generations ago in the mid 2010s. I actually learned driving in this car, getting my learner's license, and this wasn't a very fun car to drive. It was extremely boring. The braking was very average. It was extremely uninspiring to drive, to say the least. And the design as well is pretty much an A to B type car. Definitely your grandpa or grandma's Corolla, not something that a younger person would drive, although a lot of learners did drive because it was an affordable, safe pick that a lot of parents bought for them. So yeah, you can see how far the Corolla has come just in a couple of generations. Cool, let's have a look at the interior now. I think there's very little of this that's going to be production ready. We can confidently say that, but it does show how Toyota is thinking about the future of its design and a minimalist future. So here you've got a center screen there is no center screen. That's the big change here. You've got a screen just for the driver, and then you've got a screen for the passenger as well. And then you've got this interesting centerpiece here, which is almost like a laptop stand, or I'm not entirely sure what this stand is for. You've got this real life picture here. Potentially, you could just place some items on here. If you had something to read or do, you could just place it on here and do that as the passenger. But yeah, what they're trying to do here by removing that center console is just create that feeling of space in a lounge like environment that potentially Corollas in the past or any kind of smaller compact car just hasn't been able to, just because of the lack of space in the packaging. But they're trying to rethink that space even if the exterior dimensions are still relatively compact. You've got this new steering wheel here, which I think this is fantastic. The current Toyota steering wheels for a long time, I think they've been stuck in the past, and I don't like the way they've been heading with the new EV cars as well. So the BZ, 4X, that kind of steering wheel, the new CHR Plus, looks a very old-fashioned style steering wheel. So I think this has a little bit of a retro feel as well, similar to what Hyundai are doing by positioning the logo to the right, something like the old Toyota Cressida I remember back from the 80s. I think you've still got hardware buttons here, hopefully. A bit more piano black than I'd like to see, but I think it's still pretty practical looking steering wheel and quite modern, I feel too. Yeah, you got pattern display, which a lot of cars are trending towards as well, and I don't think we'll see this in a Corolla anytime soon. I like how they've also positioned some of the buttons here on its own floating stalk. That's a new design motif that I haven't seen before. This is the crystal gear selector, which is a cool design touch. Yeah, overall, I like the direction that the new Corolla is going in, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you think this is the right direction for the Corolla? Do you think any of this is going to be in production? If so, what elements do you think are going to hit production? And if you like what you saw, subscribe for more content just like this. See you later.